Welcome back to another Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. We are live. We have a Badger football game, 2 Badger basketball games, and 3 Bucks games. So we got a 1, 2, 3 coming up, and we are going to start with the Badgers almost upset of Oregon. So we're going to get into that, and here we go.
Welcome to another live episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we discuss the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, Badgers football, and basketball from an optimistic perspective. Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
All right, so the Badgers football team, they were 15 minutes away from pulling an upset over the number 1 team in the country, but they obviously play all 4 quarters for a reason. So Badgers gave Oregon a scare, and that's all it ended up being, unfortunately. But we're going to start on the defensive side of the ball, which is potentially where I think the Badgers were the most impressive. So, Jake, I'm going to start with you on the D-line and what your thoughts were.
I'll tell you what, if you asked me this question 2 weeks ago, talk about the D-line versus Iowa, I was not impressed. I was not happy. I don't think there was a single person that donned the Cardinal red and white and was impressed or happy with how the front guys played. But they played some inspired football against the number 1 team in the nation, against a Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback, against a coach that likes to mix it up and go for it in some ballsy situations, and a pretty damn good running back in my opinion. But they did their job. They didn't get any sacks. They kept them honed in for the most part, in my opinion. That was due to some of the linebacker play as well, which you're going to get to later. They had 6 of the 14 hurries. Barton, Neal, and Dylan Jones had 1 each, and then Elijah Jones had 3. So, they did their job, like I said. They played a little bit more physical, had good point of attack, and that's all you can ask for. Hopefully they bring it again this weekend.
Yeah, and going into the linebackers, Christian Allegro was the 4th highest graded defender. He had 11 tackles. He played 63 snaps to Jaheim Thomas's 8. That seems to be going forward what is going to continue to be the case. I will say Oregon's 3rd drive, Jake Chaney did a really good job of putting a big legal hit on a crossing wide receiver to force an incompletion. It was a really good job just because we've seen in just the last 2 or 3 years some really shitty targeting penalties go against Wisconsin. Like some real questionable ones. And I just wanted to give credit to Jake Chaney for putting a big hit on a player, but doing it within the rules and not being disqualified, obviously. So wanted to give him credit for that. The same drive, he did do a good job of just gap responsibility against the run. I thought Jake Chaney had a pretty decent game. He did miss 3 tackles, but I really don't have a lot of complaints about the linebackers. The defense just really held their own against the number 1 team in the country, holding them to 16 points. So, Mike, what did you see from the secondary?
A lot. I'm going to give a quick shout out first off to Badger Nation, the fans at Camp Randall. That place was fucking lit on Saturday. So kudos to the fans being there. Made it a 4-quarter game. Right before the jump around, I thought we honestly had them. We were going to hold them that 4th and line. I thought we were going to get the win. But you know what? Kudos to the fans anyway. Big recruiting weekend, and it's paying dividends as we're seeing now. We just got a flip on a D lineman, Jalen Williams, from recruit at Michigan. So, yeah, kudos. Just throwing that out there. Big recruiting weekend. Great weekend with the fan base being there as well. So anyway, at the secondary, as you guys kind of said, I thought we held Dylan Gabriel in check for the most part, as Jake said, Heisman Trophy candidate. Held Oregon to 354 total yards, 22 at 31 with 218 yards passing. With the 1 interception, kudos to our guy, Nizier Forkarine, for getting that 1 interception on 7 tackles. He's quietly having a really good year. I feel like because Rico with getting 2 tackles, 72 snaps. No one is throwing his way for the most part. So Nizier is getting most of those reps when quarterbacks do decide to throw. So and he hasn't really given up too many big plays. I mean, we held Dylan Gabriel at 64 QBR. It's definitely not the greatest or the worst, but I think, again, with the Heisman Trophy candidate, it's pretty damn good. So, Hunter Wohler, I want to call him out too real quick. 12 total tackles, 10 solo. Hope he's going to be okay for this weekend. It looks like he might have got a concussion in the fourth quarter there. So, prayers up for him. And then the one guy I really want to call out real quick too is Xavier Lucas. He did only get 9 snaps, but he might have had the play of the game. It led to he had 1 tackle, a half a sack, and a half a sack tackle for loss. He was doing a corner blitz, and Dylan Gabriel was trying to juke him out. But he stayed home and he stayed put, and it ultimately led for a tackle for loss, and it was I think it was a 3rd down, I'm pretty sure, and it forced Oregon to punt. So that was a critical moment too. So a freshman, making a veteran play like that, kudos to him. Excited for his future, and on we go.
Yeah, I've been saying it everywhere I can since that game, and obviously we all had him as our freshman to watch on the defensive side of the ball, but I really, truly believe that Xavier Lucas is going to be a star.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's going to be good.
He got next.
Yeah, so after Ricardo Hallman is a 2nd-round pick this year, he can take his spot.
Works for me.
All right, Jake, what did you see from special teams?
Bertram's did his thing, 6 for 257, 42.8 average, 51 long. Vaco's was outstanding, 2 for 2 from the field goal range, 35 long, 1 for 1 from extra points. He had 7 of the 13 points for the Badgers. And I just want to give credit to Wooler. He made a really good decision on a punt return. I was smiling last night when Bryant gave credit to Jaden Reed for doing that in the Packers game, because I knew that I wrote this down about Wooler too. Wooler caught a ball deep into Badgers territory and ended up returning it for a good 10 yards and 10, 15 yards, and gave the Badgers better field position, which, in the type of game that we were playing, that was a field position game. So helping us get further into the up the field, that was a good thing for him. So honestly, good job by everybody. Can't really complain. They were trying to be aggressive, and we're this close. Just a couple more passes, and the Badgers win that game.
Yeah, and that's the thing on the passing game. Like on the 4th drive, they were finally able to start getting the ball moving, almost exclusively with a run, and then in the red zone, Locke missed a touch pass and a ball behind Will Pauling. The Badgers settled for a field goal. That obviously, in hindsight, when you see that they lost by 3 points and there's potentially 4 points left on the board there, again, hindsight, but that's tough. That's one of those things where we talked about it against Penn State and Iowa and Oregon, that if you're going to beat one of these teams or upset one of these teams, you have to be on your A game the whole game. And that something like that can be the difference. So after that, after a hold on Nelson, Braden Locke did hit Vinny Anthony with an absolute dime on a deep ball. That was great to see. And then Bryson Green drew a pass interference on the end zone. And the first play after that, Tucker Ashcraft dropped a touchdown. Second play after that, Will Pauling did not drop a touchdown. And that was one of those things where I was like, okay, that was a good play call by Phil Longo. And if I'm being honest, and I think I said this to both of you, I'm a little surprised that Oregon didn't notice that that's what the Badgers were going to do, because they had Riley Nowakowski and Tucker Ashcraft lined up in front of Will Pauling. And why would you line up 2 tight ends in front of a slot wide receiver? To have them block for him. And that's what the Badgers did, and they scored a touchdown out of it. So good play call and good execution. And unfortunately, it still led to Phil Longo losing his job, which we'll talk about in a second. But Braden Locke, there was one point in this game where Braden Locke almost threw a left-handed touchdown pass before Dylan Gabriel did. It was about this close from Braden Locke throwing a left-handed touchdown, which would have been amazing vibes, especially in a bid against the number 1 team in the country.
Would have been crazy. On an RPO play too, a broken RPO play, and he scrambles out and goes crazy. Absolutely.
Right by the line of scrimmage too, would have been amazing. Braden Locke did hit Tretch Kekahuna on a 3rd and 8, but it was wiped out by a horrible chop block penalty.
That killed me inside.
Howie Walker hits the guy in the hip, and they call a chop block. A hit in the hip gets called for a chop block, and it wipes out a 3rd and 8 completion from Braden Locke to Tretch Kekahuna. Would have been obviously a first down and would have kept their drive going. Just a terrible, terrible call. and it sucks, and there's like nothing you can really do about it. And then Braden Locke, unfortunately, to keep his streak alive, a tipped pass ended up intercepted. So just kind of a tough ending to the passing game for this game, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. We'll move forward, and like I said, we'll talk about it a little bit more in a second. But Mike, what did you see from the run game?
Yeah, I thought Tawi Walker had a very, very good game. I mean, there's moments where he ran pretty hard. You know, given the circumstances, Oregon came in with one of the best run defenses in the Big Ten, if not even the country. So we did get it does kind of look bad on the stat sheet. 34 this is just collectively now. 34 carries, 130 yards. For a 3.8 average, but that's not taking into account Braden Locke's 3 carries for -4. So, but no, Tawi Walker, 20 carries, 97 yards, had a nice run of 22 yards in the game. I thought, like I said, I thought he ran hard. I thought he played pretty well for the most part. Unfortunately, we couldn't connect on that swing pass, not the swing pass, the touchdown. Well, potential touchdown throw coming from Braden Locke there in the red zone. That was a perfect play call, I thought. But here we are. And, Darian Dupree had some moments too, 10 carries, 33 yards. He's not afraid to run in between the tackles at all. I think that's one takeaway that I think I have from him, going into this year. I thought he was more so going to be used for the plays such as those swing passes or maybe some outside zones, something along those lines. But they've definitely given him enough carries between the tackles, I think, for the most part too. So excited to see what he can bring to the future. And those are my takeaways.
Jake, how'd you feel about the O-line?
Well, the first couple series were not good. Oregon was kind of taking it to us. Tawi Walker's, you look at his game, and Mike was just going over it. When you think about the first 2-3 drives, you're thinking like,
3.
Wow. He ended up with 97 yards after that, taking that beating the first couple of drives. The offensive line really started playing good in this game, really started getting a nice push. Huber was doing a nice job pulling. Both tight ends were doing a nice job in the run game as well. I thought the offensive line was good. Just one guy had a real tough day. Malman was getting absolutely beat like a drum. He was getting beat repeatedly. Every single play, it was that the dude he was lined up against, don't even remember his name, was just owning him. He ended up making the interception at the end. Nice play call by the DC in Oregon to kind of fake blitz him and send him back. Only reason that he intercepted is because he was running a bluff blitz. But honestly, Malman was just having a real tough day. He did run block pretty good, but in the passing game, he definitely has some room for improvement. But other than that, I thought everybody was pretty good.
Hugo Lele.
Yep.
Yeah, that's his name.
He was a force.
Yeah, he was a game wrecker for sure.
He was the best player on the field for Oregon.
I think he might have arguably the best player on the field, period.
I would say at times I thought that Tawi Walker was a little bit better, but yeah.
Yeah, I can see the thought for that, but yeah. All right, so we're going to switch this up a little bit just to use this as a transition. So we're going to go from offensive side of the ball to offensive side of the ball, just because I want to use this as a transition to talk about Phil Longo. So the Badgers, yes, they only scored 13 points against an Oregon team who's been allowing 16 points. But the thing is obviously the disjointedness of the offense at times, but 0 points in the fourth quarter. You look at the Penn State game, 0 points in the second half. Like you have to be able to put points up to upset teams. Like it's not a secret, and it's not, it sounds dumb to say it, but it's just something that you need to do if you want to have a chance to upset the better teams. And then in the future, be one of the better teams.
Yep.
So I'm not expecting the Badgers, as we're going into the Nebraska game, and Fickle said the play calling is going to be a collaboration. Well, and we are going to plan an offensive coordinator candidate segment, whether we do it on a Wednesday or we do it on its own or we do it in graphics, whatever. However we're going to do it, we're still planning that yet. However they go about it, it's not going to be the 2010 Badgers or the 1999 Badgers where they run the ball 75 times a game. Like they're not going to just go back to being exactly how they were. There's still going to be a marriage of running and passing and using each to open the game up. Now, Jake knows this, Mike knows this, anybody who's ever watched us talk about football knows this. I love play action. So as we're going into the Nebraska game, I would love to see more play action worked in. I'd love to see the ball in the hands of Vinny and Tretch, and we'll see just kind of what it looks like. And it's going to be an opportunity for some different looks, some different strategy, and maybe some different players involved. And we'll see how it looks. Honestly, I have zero expectations. There's nothing that I expect the Badgers offense to do this week except Tally Walker to play well because he's a good player. But I'm not expecting downfield looks or only short field looks. I'm not expecting anything like that. I'm very interested just to see how these last two games play out, and obviously the bowl game, and we'll see where the Badgers go from there. Just on the Longo thing, I do think part of this is a little bit of a professional courtesy because it does allow Phil Longo to get a jump start on finding another job before the candidate pool grows in size, because at the end of the year there's always coaches that get fired and their contracts expire and things like that. So a little bit of a solid from Fickle to Longo in my opinion. But Mike, what are you looking for from the Badgers offense now that Phil Longo is no longer the offensive coordinator?
It's going to be interesting to see. I'm kind of going to touch base about this with the X Factor part of it later, but I do think for the most part, the one thing I'm looking for, are we going to see like Katie Akamelli maybe get involved with the new play caller? I mean, just speaking from
should have been able to guess that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it every week until it happens, right? It's just I'm not really in the running back room. I know Tally Walker's gonna get 20 carries. It's what else is gonna happen, I guess. Are we going to line Darian Dupree more on the outside at times? Are we going to bring in Dylan Jones even maybe a couple times? Just to get, why not use a couple freshmen with only 2 games left? Maybe like Dylan Jones, who, as an example, who's probably only played in 1 or 2 games, going back to the whole red shirt rule. If he hasn't played for, 4 games yet, cut him loose. Maybe going these last 2 games, this staff has nothing to lose. Let's cut some of these young guys loose and see what they can do, and scrap up a couple wins. I will say these last 2 games should be somewhat important as a Badgers fan, especially that Minnesota game. We do want to try to win. Let's not kid ourselves there, but it's going to be interesting to see what the running back room looks like. I'm looking for potentially Katie Akamelli to finally get involved, maybe bring in Dylan Jones occasionally, and just find a way to gut out this win.
Yeah, Jake, what are you looking for from the offense now that Phil Longo is no longer the offensive coordinator?
Yeah, Longo firing definitely caught me by surprise because Longo definitely had some creative play calls at times, but I think that his down-to-down management of things was kind of a mess. Sometimes his collaboration of plays didn't make sense, and that's ultimately what was his ending, right? It was rough and predictable at times. What I expect from the offensive line is be ready for anything, really. Jake Renfro talked. He gave a very bland answer. That's kind of what I expected from a player on the team. Doesn't want to give too much away. Kind of a team that's kind of limping to the finish line here. Now, we do have back-to-back trophy games to end the year. We have owned Nebraska. It's almost like the Packers, right? The Packers are maybe didn't have a hot week, but they have the Bears on the schedule. Well, you need a win. There you go, baby. We got Nebraska next, so we need a dub. What a time, right? And then Minnesota right after that. So I definitely think it's possible for the Badgers to finish 2-0. But focusing just on how I think the offense is going to do this week, I would like to say that I want to do some play action rollouts, right? But Malman just got his ass beat the game before, so I don't know if I want to roll my quarterback out to the right.
Yeah.
It'd be tough. Might have to chip on that side. I like the play call where they do some RPO and then they let it go to the tight end right away. That was a nice little play. Oregon ended up sniffing it out one time later in the game, but I think a little bit more of just getting the ball out of Braden's hands immediately is something that we need. Offensive line is just going to have to do their damn job. They're going to have to block, and they're going to have to road block for the running back straight up.
What do you guys think about, you mentioned the play action and the rollouts, having Jackson Aker back there and having Jackson Aker be in like an RPO type scenario, and you can have that way if Braden Locke does keep the ball, that you have Jackson Aker as an extra blocker in front of him should he roll out to Riley Mullman side.
I think it's kind of weird what they've kind of done with Jackson Aker. I thought he had some potential as a running back, and now they're kind of making him like an H-back. He doesn't really get carries. He really is just used as a blocker. They don't really throw him the ball much either. I feel like he's kind of wasted potential, in my opinion. There's a couple guys in the roster that I think are wasted potential with the way that they can catch the ball and things they can do after the catch. This offensive system just did not fit the people that we have on this squad. As sad as this is, it's going to sound crazy, and I already have some people in mind whenever we plan our section for offense coordinator. We need to pick somebody from the Midwest that kind of understands what the Midwest people are about. We need somebody that's tough and wants to run the ball, but also knows how to throw the ball down the field and earn it that way as well. But I like the idea of Jackson Aker, but they're just not using some of these guys correctly, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Jake hit it on the head. We're definitely seeing with a few players. One I've already mentioned already. It's gonna be interesting when the time comes. Like maybe even going into this game, we're gonna, like I said earlier, maybe we're gonna see a couple players that weren't used a few games ago that will get used now because someone else might be calling. Someone different's gonna be calling the plays, man. So, yeah, we might see some new faces. We might see some old faces. Yeah, no expectations. Kind of like what Tyler said too.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to see what they do with it.
Yeah.
All right, Jake, what are you looking for from special teams?
I found this kind of weird before I get into what I'm going to say. Opposing kickers versus Nebraska are only converting 45.4% of their kicks. That's number 2 in the nation. So maybe a little luck on the side of the old cornholers there. A goal that I have for special teams is I want Bertram's to have one goddamn punt. One punt. That's it. I want to say he punted one time, and it was fantastic. That's what I want to say next week. I love that he could do it, but I'm sick and tired of coming up here every week being like, he had 6 punts, he had 5 punts, he had 9 punts, he had 6 punts for 340 yards. Like, I don't want to say that. It's pissing me off. Honestly, it's annoying. I want to say he had 1 punt and then move on with my life.
1 punt down inside the 10.
That's it. That's all I want to say.
All right, Mike, what are you looking for from the secondary on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, kudos to the defense last week. Will put us in a great position to win. Hopefully that carries on. I guess the one big call, and I was doing a little bit of research on Raiola, and apparently I know Pro Football Focus might not be the greatest thing to go off of, but he's got a 72 Pro Football Focus grade when he is not blitzed. He's got a 58 Pro Football Focus grade when he is blitzed. So it is a significant difference there a bit. So I do expect us to dial it up, so to speak, whether that's a corner blitz like what Xavier Lucas did last week, for example, or maybe in the linebacking room as well. But I do expect Tressel to get creative in this in this realm, blitzing a true freshman quarterback or doing whatever he needs to. But I do think we are going to get some attention in the secondary. I mean, Nebraska's got two guys with over 400 yards receiving. Isaiah Neor had 426 yards, 5 touchdowns, and Jamal Banks, 415 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, it's not like they don't run the ball 50 times a game. They will go to the air. And X factor for Nebraska, I think, is their tight end, Thomas Fidoni. He's got 298 yards receiving this year. He's had a couple big games. Looking forward to seeing who gets matched up on him. But no, I think we're going to dial it up on Dylan Raiola this weekend. Hopefully make him play like a true freshman that he is and get him to make some mistakes.
Yeah. Jake, what are you looking for from the defensive line?
First of all, I want them to smash that fake-ass Patrick Mahomes as many times as possible because I'm so sick and tired of him. It was so cringy early in the year when he would do the scream and wear the arm sleeve and have the hair, and it was like, Jesus Christ, dude. It's one thing if you look like the guy, but to dress like the guy and then do his mannerisms.
It's a little weird.
It was getting to the point where it was weird. It was like 3-4 weeks in a row. I was like, dude, drop it, bro. That's fucking weird. I don't think that he's that good. I don't think he's special. I think that he's an average college quarterback in today's game. They throw the ball 51% of the times. So with that being said, they have kind of a 50-50 split, and they have two running backs that they really hand the ball off to, Dowdle and Johnson. They both have good averages. Dowdle seems to be the guy that getting most of the work. He has 8 touchdowns on 120 carries. They have some big-time, big boy receivers. They have a couple 6'4" guys. They have a freshman who's around 6 foot, 6'1". So we have to stop the run, so they're not allowed to use their play-action pass and use their big wide receivers. It's going to be interesting to see what Tressel does. Don't think that you go one-on-one man coverage on these guys because they are big-time guys. We saw what happened against USC with their big receivers. I think you have to mix it up, but I would love, and I'm glad that you brought it up because I wrote it down too, blitz.
Yeah, and the linebackers will be part of that as well. I mean, you look at Nebraska, they run 35 times a game. They pass 34 times a game. It's about as 50-50 as you can get. So the Badgers' best run defender last week by grade was Christian Allegro. By run stops, it was Hunter Wohler. But the Badgers missed 14 tackles. 11 of them came against the run, and 7 of them were by linebackers. So I get that Oregon has a lot of talent on their team, but missing 14 tackles is a lot. And half of them being from just the linebackers is concerning. And it's gonna come up in another segment in a second for me. So we can go to X Factors. Mike, who is your X Factor against Nebraska?
It's kind of it's by committee. My X Factor is the play calling for the Badgers. Kind of talked about it before. It's going to be interesting to see if this is by committee or if this is just one guy. Rumor had it. A couple articles were saying that Nate Letton, the tight ends coach, was going to be the play caller, but that's, we're going to see. Well, we're going to find out once we see it, right? So if he is, do the tight ends get more involved than this week? I mean, if there's one position group that maybe hasn't gotten involved this year in this system, it's been the tight ends. We have not seen much from them this year, from Tucker Ashcraft or Riley Nowakowski. You see him on a couple RPO plays, I guess, but not much there. So the play calling for me, I do think ultimately we have the running backs more involved to help us just get through this week and just escape with a win. That's just my personal opinion. But yeah, we'll see who's calling the plays.
Jake, who is your X Factor?
My X Factor has to do with the entire team. It's been a really tough year. There's just moments in your life, and this just doesn't have to do with just sports. There's just moments in your life where you have to block out the noise. And you have to put your head down, you have to grind, you have to get to work. So right now, the Badgers need to come together like a family does when things are getting tough. They need to block out the noise, and they need to play for each other. That's what I think needs to happen for this Badgers football team. There's a lot of things that can happen when love is involved. I'm not trying to get too mushy-gushy or anything like that, but football is family, man. Mikey knows this from being on some teams, man, but those are your brothers, man. You go to war with those guys. You get the same bruises as those guys. You get cuts, and those are the guys that help you up when you're on the ground. So play for each other and block out the noise.
So I went with Christian Allegro. You look at the last 2 games, he played 59 snaps against Iowa, 63 snaps against Oregon. In those 2 games, Jaheim Thomas has played 7 snaps and 8 snaps. So Christian Allegro has supplanted Jaheim Thomas as the other linebacker, with Jake Chaney and Aaron Witt as the starters. So for me, it's Christian Allegro. I want to see the Badgers linebackers be better, more disciplined, and I would like to see them just be more aggressive against the run, to be able to take about half of Nebraska's offense away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mike, what is your key to victory against Nebraska?
My key is limit the turnovers. Nebraska is actually tied for 3rd in the Big Ten with 10 interceptions this year. So that kind of, when I see that, I'm just kind of hoping, Braden, can we get away with one game where you don't throw that one crucial interception or multiple interceptions that, takes this game away from us. So I saw that. So my key, limit the turnovers against these guys. If we can keep it to 0, or even just one, I think we can escape here with a win.
Yeah. Jake, what about you?
Win time of possession. Excuse me. Wisconsin and Nebraska are kind of similar teams in the way that they like to win time of possession. They just do it in different ways. But Nebraska is really good at owning the time of possession. So Wisconsin is a team that needs to, especially now at this point in the season. So win time of possession, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So, Jake, mine is kind of similar to your X factor. For me, my key is for Fickle to get the guys to buy in.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit more towards the offensive side of the ball because I think Tressel's job is plenty safe after holding the number one team in the country to 16 points.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Great point.
Yeah. So for me, it's more on the offensive side of the ball. And what I think the opportunity is for some of these guys is you have 2 games and potentially a bowl game if they win one of the next 2 to basically audition for spring. I believe this year is when they start only one transfer portal window. So we'll see how that goes. I'm pretty sure 2025 is the first year they're doing it. But there's only one transfer window. And it's in April and May. I think it's mid-April to early May, something like that is when that window is open. So it's almost kind of like treating it like a preseason to the preseason, basically, if you look at spring as preseason. So we'll see, like you guys kind of alluded to, especially if it's the tight end coach taking over play calling, if there's more guys involved there, a guy like Tucker Ashcraft, maybe a guy that I identified last year as a potential freshman to watch, but hasn't seen much time this season, or if it's, an obvious player like Trechka Kahuna, who we've seen have, superstar potential when the ball is in his hands. If the Badgers can cook up a little bit something, this is a weird example to use, being that we're a Wisconsin show, but if the Badgers are able to do something kind of how the Bears did last week against the Packers, to just get the ball out of the quarterback's hands and into the hands of your playmakers. Trechka Kahuna is one of those guys that if you just get the ball in his hands, he can make plays for you.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've seen Will Pauling do it, and then you still have the downfield ability of a guy like Vinny Anthony. So going from that to our score predictions, it's going to be a little weird. But, Mike, what do you have for a score prediction from the head?
Yeah, this one's weird. I got 16-14 Wisconsin.
16-14, huh? I have the same margin of victory, but I have 24-22.
Well, I'm a little bit closer as I have Wisconsin winning 21-20.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, what do you got from the heart?
Before I say this, I'm going to kind of trash Nebraska fans a little bit. Nebraska football, I say this, Nebraska football and Indiana basketball are one and the same. They love to live in the past. They think they're a blue blood, but they are not squatting in today's age. They have always so much hype in the beginning of the year, every single year, and it never pans out to anything. Okay? I'm just throwing that out there for Nebraska fans. Look at that. Look at the beginning of this year. Look, like back in the whole, like when they were playing Colorado and all that. That was so much the most hype you can get. Dylan Raiola, the next coming. So yeah. I'm sorry, I'm throwing that out there. So yeah, I don't like Nebraska. Anyway, Hart, I got 24-13 Wisconsin.
I like it. All right, Jake, what do you got?
I have 24-17 Wisconsin.
I have the offense buying in 31-20.
Whoa. If
That's
they do that, bro,
like it,
holy shit.
I mean, that could easily be 3 rushing touchdowns,
It could easily be 3 rushing touchdowns. I agree.
All right. You guys ready to switch to basketball?
I'm in a basketball frame of mind lately, so hell yeah, I am.
As am I. As soon as we're done with the show here, I'm going to play a basketball game, so I got that going for me. I think Mike said he is too, so lots of basketball going on. And the first basketball game we get to talk about is an upset.
Hell yeah.
Yes, this game set the tone. I loved it. I'm going to go back to Mike. Mike, what did you take away from this game from the guards?
I'm going to start off by a quote that Max Klesman said post-game. He said, "This is a night we will never forget." If I was a player, that was a night I would never forget too. We got to remember how big this night was. Bo Ryan being in the house, you got the Final Four teams in the house representing. It was a big night. We had the 2025 recruits in the house, other recruits too, that were visiting. Big night for Badger Nation, and the Kohl Center showed up. It was packed house. I wish I was there. I wish I could have ran on the court at the end, being one of the young students. But no, here we are. Anyway, Max Klesman, decent game, 13 points, 1 of 5 from 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Decent job there. Kamari McGee, 6 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. My biggest takeaway from the guards was actually Jack Janicki. He played 19 minutes in this game, 6 points, 2 of 2 from 3 rebounds, and 1 assist. He's Mr. Spark Plug for this team, ultimately. He even showed it yesterday, too. I said, in our primer, he could be a dark horse to watch for in the guard role. And he's definitely proven that so far. He's proven he knows the system a bit more than maybe some of the other players on this team. And at the end of the day, that's going to get you more playing time. So my biggest takeaway from this game, from the guard perspective, is Jack Janicki needs a Scully.
He's getting one. That's going to happen.
Yeah, and I guess just a quick note. 41 of 47 from the free throw line. That's outstanding for the Badgers. I know Arizona also got 40, but hey, 41 of 47, that's insanely good.
He still was consistent.
And 44% we shot from 3, 12 of 27. Not bad. So we'll take that all day. And I guess the one thing we do need to work on is offensive rebound ratio, 24-2. That is one thing. I'll let one of you guys talk about that more, but that's something that we got to clean up.
So I'll just jump in because I have the exact numbers. That is an Arizona strength. And when I was looking at it, I think part of the Badgers not having as many is they were focused on getting back on defense more than offensive rebounding. So that's just a personal thing. But looking at it, a couple turnovers and those offensive rebounds that you mentioned helped Arizona go on a 16-8 run. The second half was a 7-0 run in about a minute and a half. Arizona is number 2 in the country, averaging 18.3 offensive rebounds a game.
They have a lot
so
of
that is
there.
What's that?
They have a lot of athletes over there.
They really do. So that's just playing to their strengths.
Mm-hmm.
For me, looking at the wing players, John Tonje was fantastic. He was immediately looking to be aggressive and getting to the foul line, getting to the free throw line. He drew 2 fouls in just over a minute, had 5 free throws in just over a minute to start the game. He had 20 points at half, so 21 points in the second half. First half, he made 11 free throws. He finished with 21 points from the free throw line, I believe. And he ended Arizona's 7-0 run that I just mentioned in the second half with a three-pointer. Finished with the 41 points, the 6 rebounds. Yes, he was 21 of 22 from the free throw line. That is a Badgers record. And John Tonje drew 13 fouls.
He was aggressive.
Insane.
He was really aggressive.
Yeah.
So looking at John Tonje, he had 41 points, 6 rebounds, 21 of 22 from the free throw line. You go back the year before when the Badgers played Arizona and you look at AJ Storr against Arizona, he was 4 for 13 from the field. He made 2 out of 3 free throws. He had 10 points and 1 rebound.
Woof.
Upgrade, question mark?
That's the hypothetical I was putting out there.
Athletically, no. Basketball player, yes.
And who gets the credit on that one? I don't know. I don't think the fans would like. I don't think the haters would like to hear that. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. I just work here.
Yeah. But what do I know?
Yeah. Figure it out amongst yourselves.
Tyler, the instigator.
All right. Other guy I was looking at was John Blackwell. I loved seeing him being physical with Caleb Love. Jake and I talked about this. We did some play breakdowns, getting him teed up. The Badgers got 4 free throws out of it. Blackwell was fouled on the play, so he made his 2. Klesman made 2 for getting a technical, and then John Blackwell made a step back on the play. Badgers got a 7-point possession of getting Caleb Love teed up. I loved seeing John Blackwell playing inside out again. Spoiler alert, it's going to come up in the next recap as well. Looking at it, John Blackwell, the primary defender on Caleb Love. Caleb Love finished 2 of 13 on field goals, 0 of 6 from the 3-point line, finished with 6 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 2 turnovers. Probably the worst game that Caleb Love has played since he was a freshman.
100%.
Yeah.
So other things for the Badgers, this game, slow start, not a problem. They jumped out 7-0 against Arizona. Arizona had not trailed in their first 2 games coming in. And the Badgers jumped out 7-0 on them. So that was encouraging to see. Arizona did tie the game at 65. They got within 70-68, and then the Badgers went on a 16-6 run. They made 3 threes, 2 of them by Tanji, and 1 of them by Kamari McGee. This was the Badgers' first time scoring 100-plus points against a Power 5 team since 1993.
Mm-hmm.
The year I was born was the last time they scored 100 points against a Power 5 opponent. Love that. And then, all the free throws and the 3-pointers was fantastic. So, Jake, what did you see from the Bigs against Arizona?
Before I get into that, I just have 2 takeaways. First of all, for Madison to be as hyped as it was back-to-back days, having number 9 and number 1 in football coming in the same weekend back-to-back days was absolutely exceptional. The fans absolutely did their job. So Very good job by you guys. Might be Arizona's most dysfunctional offensive game the entire year. Yes, they scored 88 points, but they got 28 of those from the free throw line. They had no flow. They had little tiny spurts of flow where they went on a little 7-0 run, little like 10-3 run. Other than that, the Badgers really kicked their ass.
And they had 24 offensive rebounds.
Yeah, they shot 4 of 23 from the 3-point line. They had no flow, and they had 6 assists and 13 turnovers. They had 0 offensive
Yikes.
flow. 0 offensive flow. And then the next day for the Wisconsin defense to hold Oregon to 16 points. Absolutely phenomenal job by the Badgers all the way around. They showed out this weekend. Wish we would have got 2 wins, but we got 1, so we'll take that. In terms of the big men, Crowell he was dropping dimes left and right. This guy was showing some really good post presence, really good awareness. Tyler said it, and I agree. He maybe looked like a little baby Nikola Jokic on one of his passes from the post. Just one-handed that thing over there. Really good cut as well in the offhand finish by Janicki. Winter just did his job. He was being big. Made shots when he got opportunities. Amos came in the game, and he was shooting threes, and he was part of it. He also had a steal. He was 2 for 4 from the 3-point line, but he was part of the reason that the Badgers were able to extend this lead is he came in, he was playing high energy defense and shooting threes. That's all we're going to ask from that guy. And that's what he was doing, right? Ilver and Hodges played a total of 3 minutes combined, took 1 shot. And Carter Gilmore had a disgusting block. I mean, oh my goodness, how embarrassing for that guy to come to the rim and Carter Gilmore would be like, you fucking thought, looking like a dad playing against his starting big men went 12 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 for 7 from the field, and 0 for 2 from the 3-point line. The bench bigs, 8 points, 2 rebounds, 0 assists. That's literally all Amos' stats. They had 1 steal, also Amos, and 1 block. That was Carter Gilmore. So overall, big men did their thing, and they helped the Badgers beat number 9.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say before we move on to UT Rio Grande, the thing that leaves the biggest impression on me is every single time there was a loose ball, the first player on the floor was wearing a white jersey.
Yep.
That's culture, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, love that. Let's go to UT, University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. We're not saying that, so for the rest of this recap, we're going to call them Rio Grande. So that's how we're going to go with that. So, Mike, what did you see from the guards against Rio Grande on Monday?
Well, this was a small ball game. I mean, obviously we adjusted to it. I'll let you guys talk about the other players there, obviously, but this turned out to be a very small, playing small ball for the most part. I think Rio Grande might be a tournament team. I think this is somebody we should look back at the end of the year, see what their record is, and I think it's going to reflect them having a pretty decent record in this conference because the story of their season really this year with these 3 losses, they were, obviously played a shootout against us. Creighton, they scored 85 plus. Nebraska, they kept a close game too. So they are on the cusp of, getting some big time quality wins. So kudos to them. Anyway, back to the guards. Klesmit, 34 minutes, 11 points, 2 assists, 1 rebound. Kamari McGee got over 20 minutes again, 21 minutes, 2 assists, 1 rebound. And Jack Janicki once again provided another spark, had a clutch 3 when he was out there. He got 10 minutes of playing time with 3 points and 1 steal. For the most part, other takeaways, I do think as a defensive unit, we still need to clean up the defensive rotations a little bit. I think that's still a work in progress with our transfers, obviously, and with our team. But I do want to give a shout out to Coach Gard, especially in the second half. He did adjusting to that small ball. Rio Grande's coach after the game mentioned specifically that he did a really good Gard. He gave kudos to Gard and even a specific player I'm going to let you guys talk about. But basically, he gave him kudos kudos to him for adjusting defensively. So it wasn't pretty. We gave up over 80 points a game, but Kamari McGee did get a crucial stop on that last possession on
I would say the game-winning stop
on Hassan Abdul Hakim, who I think is going to be playing on a big-time D1 school somewhere next year, because he definitely showed flashes of whooping our butt. Really,
he's crazy athletic too, and he's like 6'9" with handles and can shoot.
Yeah.
Shit, you want to wear a Wisconsin jersey next year, dude?
Yeah, seriously. I was thinking that watching that game.
So, kudos to these guys for giving us a fight, because they deserve to win this game too. And ultimately, we did get that last stop at the end that we needed to, but we're moving on.
Yeah, I put a pin in it. I put a note to keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
Not a team that I would have a problem cheering for later on in the season, obviously, unless they play Wisconsin or Marquette. But as far as the wings go, John Tonje, he continues to be an important part of defensive rebounding. Jake, you brought it up during the game. I know I mentioned it last week that the guards are helping out with the rebounding, and I appreciate that. And he's still very aggressive to get to the free throw line. He was 10 for 10 from the free throw line again in this game. So that's 10 of his 19 points. His other 9 points came from 3 3-pointers. One of his threes tied the game at 61, and another one of his threes gave the Badgers a 74-72 lead. He did not take or make any 2-point field goals. He was fouled on some, obviously, but when you get fouled, they don't count as field goal attempts. So good for John Tonje, scoring 19 extremely efficient points.
Yeah.
As for John Blackwell, man, if he ends up averaging the stuff that I said he was going to in my bold predictions earlier in the year, he's going to make me look smart. But I really, really love, more that I've said over the last couple of weeks as well, is his ability to drive to the basket.
Mm-hmm.
He is developing very strongly as a slasher, and the ability for him to finish with a spin and score and stay under control, to bully and just get to the rim and get lay-ins, to collect his own miss and get some second chance points, and to be able to hit some, if he gets cut off, to hit some turnaround fadeaway jumpers in the paint as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I love seeing that from him. Obviously, he made some threes as well, but looking at it, he had his career high tied, 18 points with 14 minutes left to go in the game. Finished with 30. There was at one point he scored 8 straight points for the Badgers. Him working hard and getting that miss, his own miss, and getting the second chance points, that specific play is what got the crowd back into the game as well.
Mm-hmm.
When he got that offensive rebound and got the putback, the crowd was into it, and the Badgers went on a run, and it was good to see that. John Blackwell kicked that off, so I wanted to give him the credit for that. So, Jake, I'll let you go on the bigs before I throw some other takeaways out there.
Yeah, I'm going to do bigs, and then I got one takeaway, too, that's kind of crazy because I just crunched some numbers. So Winter and Crowell, they were playing big, but again, Mike talked about it. I was going to say it too. This was an up and down game, and I talked about this last week where I said that could be an Achilles heel to playing the two bigs. It's kind of when teams try to speed you up a little bit, and that's kind of what happened in this game to a certain extent. Amos came in, hit a 3-pointer, had 9 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist. Gilmore did his thing. He got a couple of rebounds. He didn't take a shot, but he doesn't care. He doesn't need to take a shot. He's out there to be the first on the floor, to set good screens, have the best hair flow on the floor, and he'll get his one defensive stat every game. He's going to get a steal or a block. I guarantee you he's going to have a steal or a block.
He's a dog. Carter Gilmore's a dog.
And they mentioned this during the game, and I absolutely agree with it. They said that he's the heart and soul of this team, and I agree. I mean, I talked about him last week again. I mean, he's the first to practice. He's the first to show up and say, I'll do the drill, or I'll be the guy that does this, or I'll do this, or sure, coach, I'll help you out. Like, he's the first one. So
Did
when
we have
you
this
have
conversation last week that we would love a team of 12 Carter Gilmores?
Yeah, I would love that. That's so much easier to coach than 2 or 3 guys that are just like, maybe. The attitude.
I'll tell you this: if we have this conversation as far as Arizona goes, 12 Carter Gilmores versus 12 Caleb Loves.
I would love 12 Caleb Loves because he's really good. But the way that
12 Caleb Loves from Friday night, the way that he was acting.
That's what I'm saying. The way that you can mentally get into Caleb Love's head that easily, I mean, that's tough to win games like that. And that's something that he's going to have to work on if he wants to be successful at the next level. Because he's going to get looks in the NBA, right?
Yep.
Carter Gilmore's not getting any looks in the NBA, but you know what? He has a great fucking attitude and he's going to be successful in life because he attacks everything head on. So I'm cheering for Carter Gilmore in that aspect.
Playing somewhere next year.
I agree. Probably over in Europe.
Probably.
Just start calling that the Wisconsin Badger Basketball League at this point.
Correct.
The starting bigs had 15 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 5 of 10 from the field, so not too shabby. Did their thing, did what they're asked to do, right? This is a guard-led team in terms of scoring. The bench bigs had 9 points, 8 rebounds, and 1 assist, 3 for 6 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, 2 steals. And I was like, man, we're shooting a lot of free throws the last couple of games. They made 68 of 79 free throws in a 2-game stretch. That is 36% of their points they scored in the last 2 games. That is fucking nuts.
Yeah.
And I saw a bunch of people complaining, what happened to the Badgers defense? This used to be a defensive school, giving up 88 to Arizona and 84 to Rio Grande. Rio Grande couldn't miss. I'll tell you what, basketball is different than your grandfather's basketball, okay? So stop looking at your grandfather's basketball. I love the Bo Ryan era too, but watching a game end 45-48 was not exciting, okay? It was stressful, and there was no cool plays. I will say this. They may have gave up 84, but they won the goddamn game on defense with a defensive stop, and that's the thing that I love. That was my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, regardless of how you feel about the defense, you can't say that you're not having more fun watching this year's Badgers or even last year's Badgers compared to all right, how can we win this game 60-55?
I'm telling you, dude, watching a game go 51-48, that was fucking terrible. I don't care what anybody says.
We still got the Big Ten season. It still might happen yet.
the pre-Zach Edey, like Purdue Wisconsin games where it's like 58 to 49, like that's a halftime score in the NBA.
Dog.
I'm not saying that everything needs to be just scoring, but you can't tell me that this isn't a more entertaining brand of Badgers basketball. Not to mention that the scoring is also going to be a factor when the pace increases. The Badgers aren't spending 25 seconds trying to find a good shot. They're taking the first good shot.
It makes it easier to recruit when you play a better brand of basketball too. Just saying. I was listening a little bit about NIL earlier today. Don't look at the NIL deals for the Kansas team. The most expensive player on Kansas is on their fucking bench, which is ridiculous, and he costs like $75K or whatever. The Badgers' total team is like $200K, and they have a player on their bench that's $75K. That's ridiculous. It's easier to get recruits like John Tonji and stuff when you know they're gonna let it fly.
Yep.
So this is much better for Wisconsin Badgers if you like winning.
And it's credit to Greg Gard. This is his 10th season at Wisconsin, and he is updating.
Yep.
He is changing with the times. I don't know how that doesn't come off as a good thing. Yeah. Looking at the game, both teams took care of the ball. Rio Grande only had 8 turnovers. Badgers only had 9. The slow start to this game was a little more concerning to me than I had brought up previously with some of the slow starts the Badgers have had, because my previous point was the Badgers were still getting good shots in those games. This game, it felt like Stephen Crowell, Xavier Amos, and Nolan Winter were kind of forcing shots that their game plan was, we are bigger, let's get the ball to the paint. And it seemed like they were kind of forcing some shots early. So that's why this game's slow start was a little more concerning to me. Just, you can pound the paint without having to force shots up. Looking at it personally, I think Rio Grande got away with a lot of moving ball screens. This is just my opinion, but there was a lot of times where it's like, how is that not a moving screen? Where guys are shifting and shuffling their feet as guys are trying to move around ball screens. It was annoying, and a lot of it was in the first half. Is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Long shots produce long rebounds. Rio Grande had 14 second chance points. It is what it is. Wisconsin had 16. So if you're worried about the second chance points thing, like I said, long shots produce long rebounds. So that's going to happen against a team that shoots 33 threes out of 63 shots. Over 50% of their shots came from the three-point line, which is wild. And the last thing, Badgers plus 18 at the free throw line. Rio Grande plus 15 at the three-point line. The two team strengths became the difference in the final score.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So the Badgers play Friday against UCF. Sorry, too many Fs. UCF on Friday, and the winner of that game will play the winner of LSU and Pitt in the the Greenbrier?
Yeah, somewhere in like West Virginia or something like that.
It's in West Virginia. I just don't remember what the name of the tournament is called. The
weird.
4-team mini tournament. So that's what they have Friday. The winners play the winner, and the loser plays the losers. So we will have 2 Badger games next week. Mike, is there anything else you want to say before we bid adieu?
No, I'm excited to as we get closer to conference play. Looking forward to seeing maybe more or different combinations of lineups that we see out there. Ultimately, I wish I would have gotten to see UCF a little more prior to this show, but I'm excited to watch on Friday and even Saturday potentially. Well, for sure. Yeah, full weekend of college basketball and football, so you can't really get much better than that. So, and then you got the Packers on Sunday at home. Hopefully, geared up for another great weekend.
Did you guys see that play that guard from UCF made this last week? He made it like an accidental new move. He lost the ball as he was trying to do like a spin move, and he ended up holding it for a second. And then he just dropped it so he wouldn't get called for a travel and threw it behind his back, had to turn back to the original way that he was. The guy that was guarding him just took off because he thought he was going to do a spin move trying to get ahead of him. And then he was wide open for a 3 and he cashed a 3. And he just made it look like he did it on purpose, but you could tell his face, if you close up on the face, he was just oh shit, like an oh shit moment, and he just drops it, grabs it and shoots it. And I'm like, dog, that was smooth. That was
one of those things where you play enough basketball, something weird will happen and it'll work.
Yeah.
Did the Jordan shrug after? Yeah.
Yeah. Better to be lucky than good.
Yeah. All righty, Mike. We will see you next week. Look forward to it, and have a good one. We'll see you next week.
Later, fellas.
Later, dude.
All righty. So we're gonna switch from Badgers to Bucks. Now we have 3 games to cover. And we're going to start with the Pistons overtime game from last Wednesday. A little bit of a, I don't even want to say heart. It wasn't a heartbreaker, obviously, but a heart pounding ending.
Yeah.
A pulse pounding ending to Bucks Pistons. But hit me with your takeaways from the overtime win in the Giannis beating the Pistons game.
Yeah, dude. This is, dude, we're going to be. There's 3 things that are going to happen. There's 2 things that are going to happen. First of all, we're going to talk about Giannis and the Bucks offense kind of waking up. The defense has been playing better too, by the way. For all the people that are hating on Doc Rivers. The defensive rating the last couple of games has been really good as a team. And 2, what the fuck are the refs doing? Those are the 2 main things that are going to happen when we talk about the Bucks this week. But we got 2 out of 3 coming into this week, so love that. Yep. We should have 3 out of 3, but I'm not going to sit there and hone on the past. It is what it is.
Yep.
So Giannis, what do I need to say about Giannis, dude? 50.
Do you want to see what I wrote? I literally just wrote in big bold letters that Giannis is still in contention for the best league, and he isn't going anywhere.
No, First of all, he's not going anywhere from contention to best in the league. He's not going anywhere out of Milwaukee. He's going to be a Buck for life. Yep. We both firmly plant our feet on that.
Yep.
Brook Lopez absolutely woke up in this game. 29 points, 8 rebounds, 9 for 17, 5 for 8 from 3. Was defending the rim like he always does. I feel like I don't have to bring that up, but I should just because I don't want to take it for granted. He's so good at that. In terms of bench, the bench had 21 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 8 of 19 from the floor, 5-11 from 3. So honestly, with most of our bench moving into our starting lineup for this game, I'm still pretty happy with the bench output, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
Efficiency-wise, the Bucks got 29 points from the drive, 38 points from catch and shoot. 17 of the 38 came from Brook Lopez. Had to point that out. Also in the driving aspect, 21 of the 29 came from Giannis, which you kind of expect.
Jesus.
In the pull-up game, they had 27 points. 17 of the 27 came from Giannis. So if you add Giannis's drive and pull-up game, that's 38 of his 59 right there. Pull-ups.
But he's just running down.
Yeah, dude, he was hitting the mid-range really nicely, and he was playing real smooth. He's actually been shooting the mid-range pretty good, shooting at a pretty efficient clip, which he has to. He doesn't have to shoot threes. Just give you a 15 to 19 footer, and you'll be unstoppable. I mean, look at this game. He was hitting a 15 to 19 footer, and he had 50-9. That's crazy. They had 16 points in the paint. Giannis had 8 of them. In terms of rebounding, I thought the rebounding was pretty even both ways. Bucks had 47, 9 offensive rebounds, and 38 defensive rebounds. Pistons had 45, 11 offensive rebounds, and 34 defensive rebounds. So really, I'm going to pause it right there. I'm going to let you do your takeaways. Then we can talk about that terrible call to get into overtime.
So I pulled it up. Giannis is shooting 44% on mid-range.
Yeah, that's respectable.
I'll take that. Absolutely, I'll take that.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to start on Giannis. Giannis specifically. The fact that there are so many Bucks fans complaining that Giannis had no help, or the fact that people were saying that it took Giannis scoring 59 to beat the Pistons. Do you realize that our second and third best scorers were out of this game?
That's I've said that so many times.
And to same thing with your bench point, that when starters are out, bench players end up in the starting lineup, which takes away from the quality of your bench. Like, I don't understand how these things are difficult to comprehend.
I don't either, honestly.
Like, use your brain for 15 seconds and you can figure out why Giannis took on a bigger role in this game.
Pretty weird.
He had 44% of the usage and he scored 46% of the Bucks points.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an accident. It's not like Giannis was like, nope, I have to do this. Like, they were quite obviously playing through Giannis because he's one of the best players in the world.
Weird.
What a shocker. It's unbelievable that people are complaining that Giannis has to do a lot of scoring. It's not that he has to do a lot of scoring. It's that he can do a lot of scoring.
Bro, seriously. It's literally just that little flip of mindset. That's all it is. That's literally all it is.
Tiny shift in perspective.
That's it.
Especially in the first quarter, and I get guys were missing shots, but they were playing through Giannis, and he acted as the primary ball handler a lot because both of our point guards were hurt.
Yep.
Also, he was fucking unstoppable. Why do you want to take the ball out of his hands?
Dude, I don't understand people.
I can't understand that. Why would you want him to score less? If he's playing every night, I would love for him to score 60 every night.
Yeah, like watching him score 59 was so hard for you to watch.
Yeah. Whatever. He appropriately took 34 shots. He made 21 of them, 61.8% from the field. I loved that. The team as a whole is 15 for 35 on threes. That's 42.9%. I love the percentage. I'd like to see them shoot more threes, to be honest with you. But obviously, when Damian Lillard, Bobby Portis, and eventually Chris Middleton are back, that number will probably go up. Mm-hmm. The Bucks were 30 for 60 on twos. Again, without those guys, that's 50%. I do believe that percentage will probably go up when Dame, Bobby, and Chris are back because those guys are efficient. Mm-hmm. They were made several shots. As the shot clock expired, Brook Lopez hit a super deep three that gave the Bucks a 1-point lead to end the third quarter. That was good to see. On Brook Lopez, awesome to see him step up. Per StatMuse, he was the oldest player in NBA history to have 25 points, 5 made threes, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. He finished with 29, 3 steals, and 5 blocks. He's still an elite defender. I don't give a shit what you say about him being old and slow. He's still an elite defender.
Yeah, he is smart.
Yeah. And spoiler alert, when we get to the Rockets game, I have a couple clips. I have 2 clips for Brook Lopez. He's old and slow. Nope. We're done. Pat Connaughton, plus 24, led the team. Useless, though. Very smart screener. I did make some clips of this. That Pat Connaughton is a very smart screener, something that we haven't given him enough credit for, even when we do talk about him. Pat Connaughton also, Swiss Army knife, like I called him in the primer. He played some of the point guard in this game. Then Delon Wright also played some of the point guard in this game. He didn't make any field goals, but he had 8 assists and 2 steals and only 1 turnover.
And he was playing good, tough defense. He's been playing pretty since he's kind of gotten right on defense. The defense has went up as a whole as for the team.
Yep. And the Bucks took care of the ball well. 11 turnovers isn't bad. Only 14 points off turnovers in an overtime game is pretty damn good.
Oh, yeah, it is. I agree with that.
So, end of the game, huh?
Dude, what the hell call is that? How do you review that?
Even if you call the foul, how in the hell can you say he was under control enough to call that a shooting foul?
Yeah, and that's what Giannis was kind of barking about, too, at the end of the game. He was like, he wasn't shooting. He didn't even have control of the ball, and I agree with that. I 100% agree with that.
Yep. Yeah, that was whatever. But in the world of ball don't lie, he missed both free throws. This game went to overtime, and then Giannis just continued to take over. He literally scored, got a block, got the rebound, came down, got an assist on a Brook Lopez 3. The Bucks got another stop, and then Giannis walked down and hit a 3. And it's like, Jesus, this guy is dominant. Like, I need a stronger word than dominant.
He said,
dude, he's wild for that.
That's crazy. I was geeking out. I said, no, he didn't, bro.
That's the hashtag unseen freaky hours. He needs to chill.
No, he didn't. He was going nuts. I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God, that's my boy. That shit was so funny, man.
Somebody said he was going to be ringing the bell when he got home, and it's like, if you know, you know.
Bro, he scored 59. No reason to ring the bell. She better have been down waiting for him.
Oh, settle down.
Just saying.
She probably doesn't have to. He's pretty tall. All right, let's talk about the Hornets game on Saturday. What should have been the 4th W in a row.
Yeah.
The 3rd W in a row out of 4.
GA still had a good game. He had a triple-double. Don't want to discredit the triple-doubles because they're amazing for a guy who's 7 feet tall. I don't think people really appreciate enough how good he dribbles. For the kind of game that he plays, his handle and his playmaking ability are as elite as you're ever going to see. You talk about guys that we're never going to see this guy, never going to see this guy again. We may never actually see another Giannis. A guy who plays that physical brand of basketball, doesn't shy away from anybody, two-way player, the personality that he has, the way that he carries himself off the floor. He's able to dribble the ball. He can rebound with the best. He could dunk on people. I mean, I don't know if there's another one.
There's one guy, and he needs to put on a lot of muscle before I'll say that. But there's one guy that could do it.
Yeah, but there's one guy that is doing it, in my opinion.
Yeah. The guy that I'm thinking of, that I'm sure you know who I'm talking about, needs to put on like 120 pounds of muscle.
Talking about Wembanyama?
Yeah.
I mean, Wembanyama shoots the threes, though, so he's a little bit different in that aspect. Yeah. But Wembanyama is also an alien, so I'll give you that. That's. But having that be the only comparison should kind of tell you.
He's the only guy in professional or college basketball, or, and I'm going to just extend this to the European leagues. Like, that's even in the conversation.
Yeah, I agree. Taurean Prince had a really nice game, 9 of 14, 4 of 5 from 3. He was striping. He actually had a really, really good game with the dribble drive himself. So good job by him. Delon Wright he actually made a 3. And every time I watch a Bucks game within the last 2 weeks, I'm like, dude, if you just give me 40% from 3, you are going to be such an impact player on this goddamn team. With how you can defend, you can handle the ball a little bit, take a little bit of responsibility away from the big guys for little short periods of time so they can catch their breath. If he just he's this close, I think, to being a really big impact player.
with his defense, I'll take 35% from three.
I'll take 35% too, but I'm talking.
Especially if he's going to keep doing 8 assists and 1 turnover.
Yeah, give me like 3 for 7 instead of 1 for 7, and the Bucks are just going to go like this up the standings.
Yep.
Andre Jackson did really well in this game, played with really great energy. The thing that I love about Andre Jackson that he's so wet behind the ears that he doesn't even realize that what he's doing sometimes, it seems like. But he's just out there hooping, bro. He's having the time of his life, flying around, put on rims. He just I love Andre Jackson, dude. He's so fun to watch. For all the people that want to know what it was like, if you don't know what it was like to watch the Bucks when they were not good, you looked forward to just watching one guy every night. Like, we used to look forward to just watching Michael Redd.
Yep.
Who's like, Michael Redd's going to shoot a bunch of threes. He's going to make some disgusting threes. The Bucks are probably going to lose by like 8 to 10 points, but hey, Michael Redd's going to go off.
Hey, it's 2012. Like, I'm ready to watch Ersan Ilyasova jack up 7 threes this game and make 5 of them.
And then he's going to get like 4 offensive rebounds that he has no business, and then make a layup having a 3-inch vertical. And it's just like, I don't know.
And he's going to take at least 1 charge.
At least 1 charge. Those are some good times, though. I enjoyed it just because I love the Bucks.
And we could talk about like Charlie Villanueva, like a guy who was ahead of his time.
Oh, dude, love Charlie V. You know that. I fucking love Charlie V.
He'd be good in today's NBA.
Oh, dude, Charlie V would be a fucking monster on this Bucks team. Monster.
Like, he's like a taller version of Kyle Kuzma.
He's
like Paolo without the handles.
He's like a more reliable 3-point shot on Bobby Portis because he was also tough.
I was kind of thinking Bobby Portis too a little bit, but
he's not like a great defender. He's a little bit slow, a little bit flat-footed, a little bit slow on that end, but he could stripe it from
stretch
3.
4,
yeah, he would be awesome. But talking about Bobby Portis, he had a pretty good game in this one. 21-7-3, 9 of 15 from the field. The bench in total had 43 points. That's the second most points the bench had this season. In terms of efficiency, they got 19 points from the drive. 43 of their 114 came from catch and shoot situations, so they did a good job knocking down their open shots. Pull-up game, they had 20, and in the paint, they had 16 points. So that seems to be kind of the area that they're hitting there. I'm gonna pause it there again until we get to another terrible call. So go ahead.
Looking at the team 3-point shooting, they were 15 of 36, just shy of 42%. They're getting more consistent in this area, and I really believe that wins are going to follow with the team shooting better from the 3-point line. Turnovers, only 9. That's great. Only 12 points off turnovers. That's also great. Pat Connaughton came in clutch in this game. He had 5 points late in the game to help the Bucks be in a position to be, in the lead before the last play of the game. This was unfortunately, out of the 3 games that we're going to cover today, the non-existent Brook Lopez offense game.
Yeah.
And so what I'm just going to be kind of looking for going forward is just a little bit more consistency from Brook Lopez. Against the Pistons, he was 5 of 8 on threes. Against the Hornets, he was 1 for 5. Just the 29 points to 5 points, 8 rebounds to 3, 5 blocks and 3 steals to 1 block and 1 steal. I just want to see Brook Lopez a little bit more consistent. I don't have a problem with his production, but if he's somewhere in the middle of that and he's consistently giving you like 14 points, 5 rebounds, 3 blocks, and a steal, that is going to be an efficient version of Brook Lopez. And I just want a reliable version of Brook Lopez.
Yeah.
So we can talk about now the last play of the game, which we discussed after it happened, that you have a situation where a ref can't see the contact that he calls the foul on. He didn't see it because there was a player in the way. Giannis was in his way, blocking his view. All he saw was LaMelo Ball fall down, and he called a leg-to-leg contact foul, which when you watch from the basket angle, you can see that their legs are about this far apart from each other.
Yeah.
And my thing with this is obviously the Bucks didn't have a challenge left. If you are the ref in that situation, it's the last 2 minutes of the game. You have the ability to call the review on yourself.
Yep.
Just audit yourself. Nobody's going to be mad at you to check to make sure that you got something right in a 1-point game.
Nope.
In fact, I respect it more if you go and say, hey, I saw this guy fall down. I want to make sure that he didn't get called for a foul. And I did call this foul, so I want to make sure that there was actually a foul here and not that he didn't just try to bend too far and he slipped on his shoe. And in that situation, I think LaMelo Ball should have been called for a travel, and the Bucks would have had the ball with a 1-point lead in like 2 seconds on the shot or on the game clock. So you give me your thoughts, and then I'm going to say something that I believe about that last play.
I think that it's absolutely incredible that a guy with the pedigree of Giannis on the defensive side of the floor, a guy who's won a Defensive Player of the Year, a guy who was one of 3 players in NBA history to win an MVP and a DPOY in the same season, one of 3 of all history of NBA, to get 2 terrible calls on him in back-to-back games. That is insanity to me.
Yeah.
And I 100% agree. After you told me that, because I didn't know that first part until you told me when we were playing Xbox this weekend, hanging out. I was like, what? I was just.
I read the last 2-minute report, and that's what it said in there, that the ref called.
I couldn't believe that. You're just like, oh, he fell over, probably a foul. Yeah. I'm just going to assume, not like this could change a franchise or anything like that, because there's a lot of speculation swirling around the Bucks about trading this guy, trading that guy. Now, I don't think any of it's going to happen. I don't think any of it should happen. This time next week, we could be talking about a 9-9 Bucks, and they could be back to 500 with 3-0 NBA group play. But we're going to get to that in a second. But it's just honestly ridiculous. I think that I didn't consider the travel call, but I think if they don't call that foul and LaMelo keeps his ground and takes one more dribble, he's about to be in a real bad situation. Because Giannis is going to catch up to him in one step.
Even if they end up calling a jump ball.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, why couldn't they just call it a jump ball? I agree.
Thing to do in that situation.
Honestly, it was laughable. I didn't understand what the hell was going on. It seemed like Wisconsin sports after the terrible call versus the Pistons, then the Hornets, and then the Badgers. It just kind of seemed, and then the Packers actually got hosed on a couple calls. It just kind of seemed like we weren't getting the whistle and for like a week straight.
Yeah, especially on Saturday between the Bucks and the Badgers. It is what it is. And then the Giannis shot at the end of the game, I have no problem with it. I argued with a lot of people on Twitter about this. People are like, oh, just drive. Just get to the free throw line. Like, he's almost guaranteed to get a foul call. The Hornets had a foul to give. So the Hornets wanted him to do that because then you foul him, and then the Bucks have 3 seconds to shoot.
Yep.
And the game, the way it was going, I believe Giannis only took 1 free throw in this game.
He did.
So you really think that in a scenario where Giannis takes 1 free throw in a game that he thinks he's going to get a foul call, much less a shooting foul call?
I think it was ridiculous for everybody to be like, Giannis should just barrel in there. Dude, I understand that we've seen it happen before, but that's not the most efficient way to try to win a basketball game.
Especially in the matchup that he was in, having a history of Grant Williams flopping when Giannis drives at him and getting calls.
Yeah.
If you've watched the Bucks play the Celtics any amount of time in the last 3 years, you should know that Grant Williams gets the benefit of a lot of calls by flopping when Giannis goes chest to chest with him.
Mm-hmm.
Also, did we not just talk about the Detroit game? Giannis is knocking down his mid-range.
Yeah, he was.
So you're talking in a game with no Damian Lillard, obviously no Chris Middleton. Giannis is obviously your best player. You're talking about Giannis shooting a pretty open shot that he's made about 44% of on this season.
My only tick is I don't know why he faded away. It was unnecessary. It's like when a guy in the free throw line fades away. Remember Bogut back in the day? Bogut would always fade back on his free throws. Now that would always leave him short. Yeah. All he had to do was just go straight up and shoot, and I think it would have been money. But I understand in your head kind of fading away because you're expecting a high contest, right?
Right. So, like, again, I have no problem with the shot selection.
Yep.
I no problem with it.
Yep.
My thing, hot take, if the last 2-minute report comes out and says we got the call wrong, as long as he's not doing it in a way of saying anything disrespectful, like name calling or, like a bunch of profanity, Doc Rivers should not get fined for complaining about the officiating after the game.
I 100% agree.
If he's right, you shouldn't be fining him.
Yeah, what the hell is that about?
I get that that's the rule that you fine coaches when they talk about the officiating poorly. But if the NBA report says the officials messed up, The coach should not get fined by the NBA for saying that the officials messed up. All he's doing is agreeing with you.
Yeah, Dane was critical of the 2-minute report too, saying, "What's the point of this when the game's lost?"
Yeah,
I agree.
Honestly, it goes back to what we talked about in Major League Baseball with how bad some of the umpires were. It's like, send them down to AAA. Send some of these refs to the G League and call up the best or the most, correct G League referees to the NBA. Like, do it that way.
Yeah.
Make it so that the referees have, some stronger incentive to be correct or to audit themselves.
All right. I agree.
Now, I will say the Bucks did get the benefit of the doubt in the Rockets game because it was deemed that Giannis stepped out when he blocked Şengün's shot at the end of the Rockets game. So the basketball gods did come back a little bit in favor of the Bucks. They still got outscored in hose calls at the end of the game 1-2 this week.
True.
And still finished the week 2-1. So there's that. Now, going to the Rockets game, I think at the last play of the game, even though the Rockets did have a chance to win it, and Şengün was open. Two things I think on that. One, AJ Green misplayed that final play. AJ Green should have stayed in the paint, as I believe it was Gary Trent Jr. was going with the corner perimeter player. Yep. And the second thing is Taurean Prince being long affected that pass.
I also think that I thought that was the dumbest shit ever, having Fred VanVleet make the pass. I understand he's a good passer, but he's also like fucking 5'9", getting lost in the crowd.
Yeah.
And then having Taurean Prince that's like, 6'7", 6'8", with his probably almost 7-foot wingspan standing in front of him. Terrible decision. I would have had Şengün passing the ball in, just my personal preference. And I would have had Jalen Green going to the rim because he could fly.
I like the idea of Jalen Green going to the rim. That's a good idea. I would maybe consider having Dylan Brooks inbounding the ball.
Yeah, that's a good idea too. But you can't have somebody who's 5'9", who's literally as tall as the fans that he's talking to. What the hell is that?
I get that he's, like you said, like probably your best passer, but
he's also not standing there. Like, it's crowded over there at the Forum, Yeah, he's looking up like that, and then, there's a couple fans, talking to him, kind of getting into his head a little bit. He was laughing and nodding with him and stuff like that. It's like, dude, if you didn't have an NBA jersey on right now, I would not be able to tell that you weren't a player, to be completely honest.
I respect that he was, like, chill about it and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
Like, Fred VanVleet annoys me, but I appreciate that he was, still just kind of having fun in the moment. Like, at the end of the day, it is a game. So I did appreciate that from him.
Agreed.
Like, it was good interaction to see. But
right.
What other takeaways did you have from this game?
So I'll go real quick. I wanted to talk about Giannis and Brook again. Giannis had 20, 13, and 4. He had 3 blocks and 2 steals. The game-winning block, you already brought it up that we got a little bit lucky because his big, giant, size 19 shoe was out of bounds. Half of it was out of bounds. Half of it was inbounds. Brook Lopez had 27, 10, and 1. He had 5 blocks and 3 steals. Just fucking monster, dude. He was everywhere in this game. He took over for a little bit. Taurean Prince didn't have the greatest game. Kind of hard for him to get a flow. I kind of expected him to kind of take a little bit of a backseat with Dame coming back because he's going to get that many fewer touches.
Yeah.
Bobby Portis was okay. The bench overall was 34 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists, 12 of 27, and 8 of 16 from 3. So they were a little bit under 50% from the field, but they were at 50% from the three-point line. You give me that and you hustle, you're going to hold your own. And if you do that without Giannis and Dame, then you let them take over the rest of the game, and Chris Middleton eventually, when he comes back, the Bucks are going to be just fine, win plenty of games. I'm going to go over efficiency. Then I have 2 more things to say. Driving, they had 22 points off the drive, and Dame led the way with 15 points. I saw that you said earlier this week that Dame was tremendous driving the ball to the rim, and he absolutely was. They had 38 points off of catch and shoots, 14 from Brook, and 12 from Gary Trent Jr. So really nice to see Gary Trent kind of coming around. 13 off the pull-up game and 8 in the paint. 2 things I want to say. First of all, Rockets were on fire coming into this game. They were like 3rd in the West or 2nd in the West.
5-game win streak.
They had won 5 straight, so they were red hot coming into this game.
Yep.
And when they started going on a run, they started talking shit. And that's fine. They're young and they believe. Fred VanVleet is an absolute dog. I agree with you. He annoys the hell out of me because he usually has big games against the Bucks.
Yeah.
But game respects game, right? He's got game. And he got hot in that third quarter and carried the Rockets and started the shit talk, in my opinion. But with this shit talk, the Bucks championship pedigree showed up, in my opinion. They were able to take a couple gut punches, one punch to the face, and you know what? They stood up, and this is the image that I got in my head. They stood up, they wiped the blood off their face, and they said, my turn. And they started punching back. Also, bullshit calling the refs, not giving Dame his 4-point play.
Yeah.
How does he not get that call? How doesn't he get that call?
Chris never does either.
It's
Chris never does either.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I'm going to stick on Dame just because I saw somebody say one time, this was probably about 2 weeks ago, say that trading for Dillon Brooks would fix 90% of our defensive problems. I'm like, bro, 90? 90? Really? And I've also seen a large contingent of Bucks fans still want Damian Lillard traded and calling him washed. You know who Dame Lillard scored the game-winning layup on?
Oh, yeah, I do. It was Dillon Brooks.
It was Dillon Brooks. So does Dillon Brooks fix 90% of our defense, or is Dame washed, or maybe neither of those things true?
One, if that's fixing 90% of our defense, Damian Lillard just killed 90% of the Bucks defense. If that's the case that you're trying to make, Damian Lillard's explosiveness is 100% better than it was last year. Just wait for the 3-pointer to come around because that's what he does. You don't be top 5 in 3-point makes and not make threes.
So glad you just said what you just said about his explosiveness because he looked really, really good driving to the basket.
Yeah, he did.
And, you know, he just came back from a concussion. So, like, I'm going to give him a little bit of grace on his 3-point shooting.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, his change of direction and his burst, he looks 27.
Yeah, he did.
Not 37. Like, he looked spry driving to the basket.
Mm-hmm. David Goggins, baby.
Hell yeah, dude. He was 0 for 6 on threes, but he was 6 of 12 on twos and 6 for 7 on free throws. So with Dame being 0 for 6 on threes in his first game after the concussion, Taurean Prince had an off night, 0 for 3, and AJ Green had an off night, hitting 1 for 5, the one coming at the best time late in the game. But Brook Lopez, 5 for 8, Gary Trent Jr., 4 for 6, and DeLon Wright, 2 for 4, picked him up. So the Bucks finished 13 to 33, which is 39% on threes. That's pretty solid. Houston was 9 for 32 on threes. That's 28%. That is not solid.
No, it's not.
And I posted just before the show started today a 1.5-minute compilation video of AJ Green playing great defense in this game. Loved that. Looking at the Bucks as a whole playing defense against Houston, Houston came into this game averaging 28.4 fourth quarter points, number 10 in the NBA. Bucks held them to 20. Houston came in averaging 113.6 points per game. Bucks held them to 100. Houston came in averaging 55.8 first half points. Bucks held them to 45. So the Bucks defense was good. Turnovers only 15. It's a little high. 6 of them in the first quarter, 9 of them for the rest of the game. So that did get better. Giannis did have 8 of the 15 turnovers, and 2 of them were on offensive fouls. Those count as turnovers. And Giannis was 2 for 7 at the free throw line, which is a little bit rough. But looking at it, the 15 turnovers, Houston scored 24 points off those turnovers. So if you can clean up the turnovers, I'm not saying you're going to let them score 0, but you're looking at 100 points, 24 of them are off turnovers. That's only 76 points on their regular sets.
Yeah,
that's pretty low.
That's pretty damn good by the Bucks defense.
That's pretty damn good. Defensively, AJ Green was working his ass off, and I'm going to be honest with you. If Brook Lopez keeps up the defense that he's playing, he's going to be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate again.
He should be.
Because looking at Brook Lopez, oh, he's old and slow. Oh, he's old and slow.
Oh.
That's Amen Thompson, who is young and freaky athletic.
Meet
and
him
Brook
at the
meets
summit.
him at the summit and weighs 100 pounds more than he does. He's old and slow. This play, Brook Lopez is calling out AJ to go back to Fred VanVleet, so this is just a good call out, and then he pokes it and dives on the floor. Ooh, he's old and slow.
Two things. That's twice he's been on the ground giving his body up for this team.
And then this last part, this is just good team defense overall. They forced a shot clock violation on this, but switching, credit to Bobby. Bobby looked better defensively in this game, if I'm being honest with you.
He did.
So good defense. I mean, DeLon Wright, Taurean Prince rotating, DeLon Wright rotating, Bobby Portis stepping up, Damian Lillard being there to not allow the little drop-off pass. Great defense by the Bucks as a team. I feel like a guy that I know on this podcast that I watch on Wednesdays said that the schemes are kind of starting to show flashes on offense and defense, and things might start coming together and they might start stacking up some wins.
We just work here.
I just work here. So the Bucks play tonight. They play the Bulls in about an hour.
Yep.
They play the Pacers on Friday. They play the Hornets on Saturday, and then they play the Heat on Tuesday. So we will have 4 games to discuss between now and next Wednesday, and I will see you then. And is there anything else you want to say before we head out?
The Friday game and the Tuesday game are NBA Cup games. The Pacers and Heat are NBA Cup games. So I want to win all of them, but I would love to win the NBA Cup and go to Vegas again. I think that'd be a good thing for this team this year, not like last year where it felt like it was kind of a distraction. I think that'd be good for this team to kind of get back to that point, get to Vegas, and keep stacking some wins. The team is starting to team, as people like to say. They're kind of starting to come around and get closer together as teams that we saw in the past for the Bucks. So, do you read into anything about Giannis unfollowing the Bucks on Instagram, by the way?
No.
I don't either. I just saw a bunch of people freaking out, and I was laughing my ass off this morning at work. It was like, you guys are such doom and gloom. It's so funny to me. You sad sacks of shit.
Like, I don't know why you're trying to convince yourself into a hypothetical future that's going to make you upset. You're literally just making yourself upset by putting yourself in that hypothetical because your brain can't tell the difference between an imagined scenario and a real one.
Yep, agreed.
That's why horror movies scare you, even though you know it's not real. Because your brain can't tell the difference between imaginary and real when your brain is thinking about it.
Yeah, agreed.
So stop putting yourself through hypotheticals that are going to make you miserable because you're just making yourself miserable by thinking about it.
Yep.
That's reason enough to change your perspective on things. And as we talk about a lot, just by looking at things just a little bit differently, you can really change the perspective on things and see them differently, and makes it seem like there's a lot more opportunity for things to be better than maybe you think there are. And I'm not just talking about sports.
Yeah. We're getting deep now, baby.
I will see you next week. Obviously, Tuesday night, we will have our Packers show next week. And then we'll be back next week, Wednesday, for more Badgers football, basketball, and Bucks. Until then, go Bucks, and I will see you next week.
Go Bucks. Good look at your game, bro.
Thanks.